Good afternoon and welcome to GPA Trading Services Master Trader Program webinar. We're so pleased you could join us. Let me introduce myself. I am Tricia Albrecht. I am the co-founder and your co-host for today's festivity. So let me give you a formal welcome. Thank you so much for having this lovely attendance today. People from around the world, so great to be with you. For those of you that may have not had an opportunity to visit our website, we wanted to give you a little glimpse at our website, and we invite you to visit when you have an opportunity, gpatradingservices.com, and we have information and pictures and can get some insight into what we do and who we are. And this is a recent picture of Gary and I. Gary and I love to travel. We're travel enthusiasts, and we recently spent a month on the marvelous island of Maui. I hope many of you have had an opportunity to visit Maui. It's one of our favorite places in the world. And here we are with a beautiful sunset behind us. As you know, Hawaii is known for their spectacular sunsets, and so here Gary and I are out enjoying the beautiful scenery. So I thought I might share that with you. And now on to today's topic. Today we're going to discuss anticipate. Yes, we've been to Kauai, we've been to all the islands, but Maui tends to be our favorite. But Kauai is beautiful as well. And if you've never visited the island of Lanai, we highly recommend you do so. Very quaint, beautiful island that Gary and I discovered on one of our many trips to Hawaii, and it's turned out to be one of our favorites as well. So just a little info on that. But now back to today's topic, anticipating future market conditions utilizing the MPA PE2 software. GPA Trading Services is an education-based firm, and creating one-of-a-kind custom software is our forte. We are a strong believer in a good, proper foundation with your trading education, and then in order to implement that information, we create one-of-a-kind custom software, and so we're going to kind of go over all of that with you today. Now, before we begin, we're strong believers in mantras, and so we like to share those in our class, and our students share those with us as well. And so I selected this one for today's webinar, and let me read it to you. Learning is not attained by chance. It must be sought for with ardor and attended to with diligence, which is extremely important. So let me read that again. Learning is not attained by chance. It must be sought for with ardor and attended to with diligence. And that is by Abigail Adams, and that's something Gary and I stand strongly behind. Now, we have a disclaimer, your standard disclaimer before we begin. As you all know, trading involves risk. So please do not ever trade without proper money management and money you cannot afford to lose. Always trade with protective stops. And any information we cover today is for your trading education. Okay? And we also invite you to read through this disclaimer. It's a standard disclaimer I'm sure you've seen many times before, but we must put that up for your viewing pleasure. Okay? So now I've covered my portion for the moment. I'll come back on later, but I want to go ahead and introduce you to Gary, and he's going to walk you through the rest of the presentation. So please sit back, relax, and enjoy. And here's Gary.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Gary R. Albrecht. I'm the founder and CEO of GPA Trading Services. We're unique because not only am I the creator of the software, I'm actually the one that educates and instructs the live classes, which we cover during our live trading classes, and of course instruct you on how to become a professional trader with the professional's mindset, utilizing a true one-of-a-kind software. I've been trading for 20 years. I've been developing this very unique software for over the last 10 plus years, well over the last decade, and I continue to bring new and updated versions as we progress in this wonderful journey of learning how to trade the markets with anticipating future market conditions utilizing this wonderful charts and software. Now, key components in anticipating future market conditions. This should be a review for everyone out there. I'm sure everyone has probably been trading for some time, but even if you're new, this is certainly an area you need to be accustomed and learn. Support and resistance is a critical component. You must know where support and resistance lies on a chart before you buy or sell. You should be buying from support. You should be selling from resistance. And how do I know I'm buying from support if I don't know where support's located? Or how do I know I'm selling from resistance if, again, I'm not aware where that resistance level is? Next up is a very important one, trend direction. What direction is the trend moving? Well, that's all perspective of what time frame you're actually viewing. On a lower time frame, that small snapshot might appear that the trend is up. But as we look at the bigger picture from a high-level overview, we could be in a very strong downtrend, and that lower time frame is just the possibility of that retracement unfolding before the major trend resumes. That leads us to the next, utilizing multiple time frames. This software takes into consideration support and resistance. It gives you the direction of the trend. It automatically takes into consideration and communicates among multiple time frames. And it will also go down the path of teaching you and how to understand how the lower time frames cycle within the larger time frames, or as we like to refer to as the line of progression. So please keep in that back of your mind. You'll hear me reference the line of progression numerous times. Now, let's go to the charts to demonstrate how these components are used to anticipate future market conditions. Please give me a yes, yes, and a yes once I open up the charts so that I know everyone can see the charts and everyone's good to go. For those of you that are new to the Amnovia room, there are a couple of buttons in the upper left corner. One allows you to fit the screen, the other allows you to go to full screen. So as we're in the charts, you can actually maximize this for full screen pleasure. The simple truth about learning how to trade, we must know where support and resistance levels lie. And if we look at a blank chart, you can let your eye go across and find out, well, this area over here was resistance because we noticed how price would reach, boom, bounce off, bounce off, bounce off. And even in the midst here where it broke below, it instantly turned right back around. Again, it tried it over in this area again, found resistance till finally it broke above, later coming back to test that area of support to bounce, and most recently we had a test and now a break back through this important level. Well, if you don't know how to look at a chart and determine this on your own, it would be helpful to know where these levels of area support and resistance are. Also, it would be helpful to have indicators that would teach you what direction the trend is moving based on the time frame. So this is Goldman Sachs, if everyone sees the symbol here, GS for Goldman Sachs. And as of late, Goldman Sachs has had a retracement and a movement down of about $20. Could we have anticipated this information as price started to top and roll? Well, as I start to look at different time frames, I need to understand, yes, when I see the trend is up, I understand price should move up. When I see the trend is down, price should move lower. But it's just one perspective if I'm only looking at one time frame. I need a bigger perspective. As this daily started to turn over on this time frame, we can imagine that why would this start to move so strongly to the downside? Why wouldn't it be a short retracement similar to before and then rally to a new high? Why is this one different? Well, this one is different because if we take a moment to look at the weekly, we can see the weekly is turning over and it's pushing lower on both of these indicators. These are called the trend momentum. What direction is the trend? And we use a price action indicator. We'll get into this later, but the direction of these two in the same direction is the market will move likewise with that direction. There are these that are called slingshots. It's when the market decides to depressurize and reverse direction. I can anticipate the market's going to reverse direction in advance based on how the time frames are aligning and which direction they're moving. My monthly is clearly still moving up and recently turning over with this big down move this last month, and we're in a couple of weeks of this move, as Goldman Sachs has dropped about $20. Well, based on this, you would expect, okay, my monthly is turning over, headed lower. My weekly is headed lower. My daily has made a full cycle all the way down. Well, we would expect Goldman Sachs to still move lower. But even in the strongest of trends, as the time frames change direction, we see corrections. Notice on the lower time frame, my daily made a cycle down and it reversed back up. And it was reversing back up against what? Against the weekly turning over. So we would expect when the daily does reverse back up, it should make a lower high and be preceded by a lower low. Well, there are signs and symptoms that the time frames as a cycle will exhibit. We'll notice as my monthly's turning over, the weekly tried, and again, this is a slingshot phenomenon, tried to slingshot higher. Notice previously when the slingshot higher occurred, it actually made higher highs. But this time, it made a lower high. We refer to this in our class as releasing the Kraken, because when a weekly tries to engage up against a monthly turning over, it should fail, making a lower high, or otherwise known as a price pattern reversal, high, low, lower high, and as this is moving lower. Well, the only way to interrupt this downward movement would be for this weekly to turn up. So in strategy, as long as this is pointing down, I can continue to ride my daily down, wait for a retracement, ride it down, wait for a retracement. And notice early on the daily tried to slingshot back up right here, failed. Well, that's exactly what it's supposed to do when a weekly's turning over. So remember what we said. We need to know support and resistance. We need to know the direction of the trend, and it needs to be based on the time frames. So as I look at the multiple time frames now, it will help me anticipate future market conditions. Let's take gold, for example. Everyone loves to trade gold. Everyone loves to trade gold. This is what my trade alerts look like. Part of the process of this learning, you'll get access to software, you'll get access to live trading classes, and you'll also get the Holy Trinity, the third trifecta, being the trade alerts. You'll notice this trade alert went out, and it said as long as my daily was pointing higher, my weekly was pointing higher, right? Both are pointing higher, right there, trend momentum and PAI, as we call for short, price action indicator. As long as they're pointing higher, we're going to expect that the daily still pointing higher. We would have very specific rules where we're going to follow. And that would be as soon as the 4-hour turns over, we're going to buy a 4-hour slingshot. And when it turns over, we're going to buy a 4-hour slingshot. And when it turns over, we're going to buy a 4-hour slingshot. Now, some of you go, now, what is a slingshot? I'm not here to teach exactly all this today because there's too much information to cover. But you can see how, based on my weekly moving higher, my daily moving higher, how I can expect certain signs and symptoms of the 4-hour to exhibit within those time frames. So as we go back to this view, we'll see why this trade alert is unique. Not only does it give me high probability trades, it's more than just buy and sell recommendation. It teaches you how to trade. So we say here, we gave this 1263 target weeks and weeks ago. And we said we expect that during this move, we're moving higher in a corrective phase before we're projecting to reverse back down. And we expected we were going to move up towards 1263. Well, that was in the trade alert saying, hey, we expect this move higher to go up towards this 1263 target. And in doing so, we're going to follow the line of progression. Remember, I said that. That is when my weekly is moving higher, my daily is moving higher, and both are still moving up. We follow the 4-hour as it cycles with that time frame, against the time frame, with the time frame, against those time frames. So here is what we call a 4-hour. The strategy was to buy 4-hour slingshots as long as that daily continued to point higher and as long as the weekly points higher. So what did that do for our students in class? Here's a shot of the active software in that same live trade. We're up over $109 on gold. That was from this swing point low as it's been reversing, moving higher. We anticipated price was going to stair step its way up towards our target of 1263. Some of you might ask, well, why haven't you closed full capacity of this trade? Well, because we don't have signs and symptoms of a top and reversal yet. My daily is still pointing up. It's not reversing yet. So I'm going to continue to see if my next 4 hour will depressurize and make yet another higher high. You'll notice in our trade management system, it says we took profit 1 after 639 pips. That represents over a $6 move on gold. Went to break even +1, or we like to call breathe easy +1. This system automatically had a target out here at the $42 range. Price moved up, reached our $42 range of profit. It banked those profits. It's still running with my last target still outstanding. Do I expect gold to continue that high? Don't know, but I just moved it out here while it's in the process of still cycling. But you can see the power, as this is tick for tick live trading that's ongoing. It shows you that the system, based on the cycling of time frames, we can anticipate what direction the market is going to move, and based on how the time frames cycle, it gives very specific examples. So this is just gold. We can go on to look at forex commodities, the euro dollar. Euro dollar has been in a strong downtrend. It's been tremendously moving down. We talked about this in our live classes. We have students up over 2,500 pips on this move as the latest top and reversal. We've been moving lower and lower and lower over the last several months. Could we have anticipated we were going to get a top and reversal? Well, yes, my monthly started to top and roll. At the same time, my weekly started to top and roll. At the same time, my daily, way back over here as I turn my auto scroll off, it too started to top and roll all at the same time. Well, knowing my daily's moving with the weekly and a monthly lower, at some point my daily's going to start to go against the trend. And that's when we expect to see this phenomenon of slingshotting lower and lower and lower and lower over and over and over and over and over and over and over. That is anticipated in advance what exactly price is supposed to do. We follow the trend. So that leads us to where the euro is next. We have met numerous targets down the road. Our most recent one was met today. We had a target of 16.55, and so far we have a low of 15.66. My second target is 14.65, 1.1465. We still have a ways to go before we reach that next target. Well, how do you think we're going to get there? We're going to get there by the time frame cycling against the higher, with the higher, against the higher, with the higher, against the higher, with the higher. So some of you are like, well, does this only work on long-term position trading? No, the exact same principles work on the lowest of time frames. So we applaud the euro when it starts to make a correction, right? We need the euro to finish this down move and start to retrace, looking for my next opportunity to sell this phenomenon called slingshots. And I simply notice in advance, even before and while they're forming, I know as this starts to turn and hook, engaging down, it's expected to move lower as long as my other time frames are moving lower with it. Lately we had a 4-hour engaging with this little small daily slingshot here, but that was expected when I have a monthly still pushing lower. Everybody see the monthly, it's clearly still pushing lower, still pushing lower. It's definitely not turning up. And my weekly, for those of you who say, well, oscillating indicators don't work in trending markets. I've heard that story. Well, oscillating indicators are great in consolidating market, but it does not work in a trending market. This software works best, works in all markets, but best in strong trending market because the signs and symptoms are obvious. As the time frames are pushing one direction on the higher end, the lower time frames, once they start to bottom, they will slingshot lower and lower and lower and lower and lower, over and over and over and over. All that is, if you ask yourself, why when price moves, no matter what the trend, it stair steps? And the answer to that question is it stair steps because the time frames are always cycling with the trend, against the trend, with the trend, against the trend, and you can anticipate this by watching and knowing what direction the trend is on what particular time frame. So is the euro due for a much larger correction? Well, if that's the case, we're going to see this weekly start to push up, similar to what we're starting to see over and over that the daily has done. It's going to start to push to the upside, and when I see the weekly get involved, sure, I'm going to expect further upside to go. But until then, our strategy with our students has been the same. Sell daily and 4-hour slingshots over and over and over. Well, you're asking yourself, well, I'm not really sure what a slingshot is. It's when the lines, the red and the blue, race off from green, and they reverse back and snap back like a slingshot. That's based on lower time frames moving against the trend, and my time frames then moving back with the trend causes this phenomenon of slingshotting. So, let's continue. We have numerous components to cover. Brian, we can get to Swiss franc in just a moment. I wanted to cover a few more things, and we have so many components yet to cover. But as far as this correction, and it's moving left to right, and we're getting a retracement, the bias is the same as the euro. I expect the pound will continue lower in the coming days because my monthly is still pushing lower. My weekly, even though it's oversold, we call this oversold territory, it's still pushing lower, and we're starting to see the early signs of that weekly turning up. And since that, let me remove these lines for you. Since my weekly is now, Brian, starting to turn up, we're seeing a greater style retracement than a very small insignificant one because my weekly's starting to get involved. But notice, the signs were the same. Monthly down, weekly's been oversold, slingshotting lower and lower. My daily's been cycling and slingshotting lower and lower and lower and lower. And most recently, in class, we talked to our students and said, hey, your next line of progression on this is the daily depressurizes against the weekly slingshotting lower. We're going to expect this to turn over and snap back, and we're going to sell once this engages down. Well, we set the automated software to do that trade for us. And that's representing this trade here on the second one, the pound dollar. The pound dollar we sold based on that slingshot, and it was used by the trade management system. And this one we're up 337 pips currently, but notice we took profit 1 at 42 pips, banked it. We took profit 2 at 302 pips. Add those together, that's 344 pips so far, and our last lot running is up another 337 pips. So my strategy is to continue to sell my daily slingshot. And guess what's forming? Pound is forming another beautiful slingshot back down. And you can make hundreds of pips. Sometimes you make less than hundreds, but you still make significant pips based on something I know is going to happen in advance. So while I'm waiting for this to move this way, I know what my strategy is. And once this engages, I know my strategy is to sell it, expecting another lower low. And that target for the pound, as we've been reaching each one of our pound targets, next target in line is 49.50. That puts us about 200 plus pips away, as this should slingshot lower as this one moved over 400, almost 500 pips. We expect this one to move similar and reach our next target. But it's nice to know I can watch this in advance, and while it's retracing, I could sit here and lick my chops going, I know, as soon as this does this, I'm into this trade. Well, wouldn't it be helpful to have not only a system that reflected this, but to give you a scanner that could scan the markets instantaneously around the clock? This is our Premium Edition 2 scanner. It represents any symbol I have in the market watch of this platform, I can add to it to tell it to look at stocks, commodities, futures, whatever symbol's in here. I can add it and customize it to the scanner. What the scanner is, it gives the overall trend. What direction is the trend per time frame? When are these slingshots we've been talking about, slingshots up or down, are forming? And then it goes as far as to tell you when they're engaging. Also, we put an ADR on here, telling the average daily range of prices, and what percentage of that is moved in the previous trading day. So, now we have something that, hey, I know what I'm looking for. I know I'm looking for the time frames to start switching directions. And up until it does, I continue to ride the trend by what? When my lower time frames cycle to oversold and they move back up with the higher time frames, aka what we call the slingshot phenomenon, we know we should be buying while my daily and weekly are pointing higher. That was the example for gold. Well, is it helpful to be able to tell a trade management system, as we've shown you on these other examples that are live, hey, what if I'm not at my computer when this daily slingshot starts to engage? Can I tell this automated system to then take it while I'm sleeping? The answer is yes. It's 100% customizable. You can tell it to buy, sell. You can tell it to only sell rallies in a downtrend. You can set it to only buy dips in an uptrend, depending on the direction of the trend you're following. Can I use it on lower time frame? Yes. I personally teach and use the higher time frames because I like these bigger moves that produce hundreds and hundreds of pips. But we have scalping strategies and software that allows you to make money on the lowest of time frames. But one thing stands clear. I've heard people say, well, I have a strategy that works on the pound dollar on a 15-minute chart. Should I study and learn a strategy that works on one pair on one time frame? Why bother? Why not use a strategy that works on all time frames, that works on any sign, symptom, any symbol, financial market, as we're showing you here? It doesn't matter if it's Goldman Sachs, gold, oil, anything you want to trade, it's the same over and over and over. It's the same. And we set these accurately. Could we have guessed that oil's been on a strong downtrend? Should be easy to tell that we've been on a strong downtrend. But notice the same. My weekly's been moving lower. My monthly's been moving lower and pointing lower. So what behavior has the daily done? Daily's been slingshotting lower and 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 lower over and over and over. And guess what's forming? Yet another. Well, how do I know where oil prices are headed? I can only anticipate based on how the time frames are lining up. So as I go back to the oil trades and I go to my charts, we can see what we're expecting oil to do. We anticipate oil is going to move, and I'll give you the big picture of oil. Those of you who may or may not like Elliott wave know anything about it. We use it as turn-by-turn GPS coordinates based on the software of where price is projected to go. If you were in this class months ago when price was topping out at 107, I was telling the class, hey, price is going to make a run down here at $35. Up here at 107. No way. Impossible. I said my monthly's turning, my weekly's turning, my daily's turning. No questions asked. Oil prices are going to go down based on that. So what signs and symptoms do we know that price is going to continue lower? I don't think we're finished yet, and we've only reached a low of 44.19. I still think we have lower to go, down below this 35, and even likely to go below that. Well, notice what the software was doing. From a monthly perspective, my monthly was turning over, headed lower. All of these months, my monthly was headed lower. My weekly started with this top in reversal. It was headed lower till it finally bottoms and then slingshots lower and lower. Kept oversold. Well, when's it going to turn up? It's slingshotting lower. It's supposed to do this. So which strategy was continue to sell daily degree slingshots over and over and over and over and over and over and let that ride the trend. Well, can we take scalping trades to the upside? When the daily switches direction, sure, even in the midst of this small little retracement, if you want to trade on a lower time frame perspective, I have my daily now turning up. The last few days, or last day and a half, it's been turning up. But what has the 4 hour done? The 4 hour starts to cycle with that daily up, and then it tries to slingshot lower. Well, guess what? This makes pips, makes money, but it failed. When I have a 4 hour trying to push against a daily moving higher, it's supposed to. And as we told people in the class, hey, as soon as this fails and turns out, as soon as that turns right back out, go back long. Price is not finished to the upside. So is price finished to the upside yet? It all depends on this daily. If my daily continues to point up, guess what I'm going to do on gold, oil in this case? As soon as my cycle finishes down, so I expect to see a little further downside, as soon as that cycle is over, we're going to go back and scalp long because my daily says so. But I don't go long now because my lower time frames are still cycling down. They're still moving lower and it's not quite finished. Right? Not quite finished. My 1 hour starting to reach oversold, but my 4 hour still has a little bit left to go. So how do I know price is going to chop and go left and a little bit lower? Because my 15, 30, 1 hour, and 4 hour still pushing down. Why don't we expect a new lower low at this point? Because my daily's not showing signs of turning over with it. It's still pushing higher. So again, it's simple. I need to know support and resistance, and I need to know the direction of the trend. Well, notice the software calculates all this information for you. The software calculates support and resistance automatically based on swing point highs, swing point lows. All right, we get support and resistance calculations in here. Doesn't matter the time frame. They're at your beck and call, and it'll give you insight to when we should be selling. Well, it would be helpful to know when my time frames align and they start turning over together. It would be helpful to have some sort of symbol that relied on that same principle. That's where our triggers come in. Now again, I can't get into everything today, but everything about this software is so exciting. It's based on time frame cycling, and it's based on giving the exact same symptoms over and over.
We cover all this in great detail in class.
And we cover all this in great detail in class. Sharona says she's new. What are pips? Price interest points. It's when movement occurs, as in dollars and cents with stocks. It's when movement occurs in currencies. And it's called price interest points. It's a unit of measurement. Trish already typed it in for you. So yes, I will look for signs to go. And why would we expect this to go lower on the pound odd? It's simple. My daily still headed lower at the moment. Yes, it's oversold, but it's still headed lower. Right? My money flow is still pushing lower. My trend momentum started to flatten here. This one's still pushing lower. It's not turning up. So of course we're going to sell 4 hour slingshots as they form and engage while my daily's pointing lower. So you can imagine what that does for me. Whether I'm trading the daily 4 hour, I'm trading the 30-15, I'm trading a 15-5, or even a 5-1. We can go down as far as the lowest of time frames and we'll see the same result. When my 5 minute starts to move and top and roll in the direction of a higher time frame, 5 minutes start, it tries to slingshot back up. I can look at this 5 minute and say, okay, based on chart patterns, I see highs, lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows. I see the indicator moving from overbought to oversold, trying this phenomenon of slingshotting back up, and when it fails, I can automatically tell you what's happening. The 15 is headed lower. No questions asked. The 15 is headed lower at that juncture when this turns and reverses. So it doesn't matter what time frame I'm utilizing. I can look at my trend momentum and my price action indicator, these two combined, to tell you the direction of the trend even on the smallest of time frames. Okay? So let's continue this wonderful journey. It doesn't matter if it's stocks, commodities, futures, forex. Again, we have multiple components. We showed you the scanner. Well, isn't it important that I have at my fingertips an opportunity and say, okay, well, depending on the type of trader I am, it would be nice to know whatever symbols have the monthly, the weekly, and the daily turning together. Wouldn't that be great to know? And have a scanning system that told me exactly when that was occurring. Or if I'm a scalper, wouldn't it be nice to have when the 15 is turning with the 5 and the 1, when they're all aligned together? Wouldn't that be nice to know for scalping? Or if I'm a positioned moderate day trader perhaps, and I want to trade something intraday, wouldn't it be nice to know what direction the daily's moving and my 4-hour and 1-hour moving with it? Well, we showed you the one scanner. You can designate which pair it scans. Now we have a second scanner called the Slice of Heaven Finder. And the Slice of Heaven Finder starts and scans on the hour, top of the hour, each and every hour. And it looks like this. I can program this to tell it, I want to know when dailies, 4 hours, and 1 hour start to align. Or I can say, I want to know when monthlies, weeklies, or dailies, or 15 5s and 1s. I can dictate, and now it'll tell you whether it's currency, whatever's in my market watch, whatever symbol's in here, I can tell it to scan the market through hundreds of symbols. And if I open this up to all symbols, it's well over 800. I customize this to just look at currencies and U.S. stocks along with gold, silver, and some commodities, but it's all U.S. stocks. There are European stocks, Asian stocks, you name it, over 800 total. I can customize this to scan through every one of these. And now I can instantly know when do I have my dailies either in triggering lower, topping and rolling, or engaging in a slingshot down. That tells me I'm going to have days of downside pressure in Aussie New Zealand. Now all I need to do is allow the 4-hour to either join forces to go with it or cycle up against it, and then look for my opportunity to sell it when it joins forces with the daily. So we have both scanners for your viewing pleasure to give you everything you need to know in the marketplace. Notice we have those triggers that form when my indicators agreement of topping and rolling together, all signs and symptoms of indicators align together, and then they trigger to tell you, yes, that criteria has been met. So I can tell my trade management system, hey, I want you to sell the next trigger lower on this pair. Or I want you to buy the next trigger higher on this pair. And you can see I have a green trigger for long, a red trigger for short. And these triggers won't fire until these criteria are specifically met. Okay? Now, again, how does this help me as a trader? Because all I need to do, how complicated is the system? I need to look at my surroundings. Well, think about driving an automobile. When you're in a car, you should look left and right to know what type of traffic's coming from the left, what's coming from the right, and I better know what's in front of me and behind me. You shouldn't back up if there's something behind you. You don't go forward when something's right in front of you. So this is where support and resistance comes in. What's in front of me? What's behind me? And what do I look left and right for? I look left for what the time frames are telling me on the lower side. I look right for what the time frames are telling me. And based on what those findings are, I know exactly what type of behavior the market and the charts will exhibit in order for those to go with the trend or against the trend. And when we're with the trend, you can see the 4-hour. I can tell you, as of this moment here, my daily is either slingshotting lower or it's headed lower because of the way the 4-hour is reacting. It slingshots up, fails, and then it slingshots lower and lower and lower and lower. So what's the daily doing during this period? My daily, let me go back to where that line was, my daily's headed lower. During that time, my 4-hour exhibits specific behavior. How cool is that? So let me separate this again and show you that. Here's where the daily starts to top and roll. We get a trigger to go short. Actually, 2 of them on 2 different days. My 4-hour starts its cycle. All right, my 4-hour starts its cycle. It tries to go higher, fails, price pattern reversal. Then it starts with this phenomenon of slingshotting lower and lower and lower and lower and lower. Over and over and over and over. And again, what are these? All this is when the time frames cycle against the trend and then return back with the trend. It's evident by this phenomenon called slingshot. Even though my trend direction is flat, it tells me it's going to go lower, because as I go over here on a 4 hour, what's causing this 4 hour to form here? So I'm going to remove this line and let everyone focus on this part of the chart. How do I know my 4 hour is going to depressurize? Because it starts to turn to the upside. How do I know it's going to go and form a slingshot? Well, while it's going up against the daily going down, right? While my daily's going down, I expect it to exhibit that exact behavior. Everybody good so far? My daily's clearly going down when that 4 hour is going up. So that would mean I expect the 4 hour to reverse and continue with the higher trend. Well, what exactly is this? This is the lower time frames, my 1 hour moving in the direction of my 4 hour. As I scroll back to bring this to you, my 1 hour is moving with the direction of the 4 hour while that slingshot is starting to form. My 1 hour is moving from oversold back towards overbought. Everybody see it? Down here is where that 4 hour starts its descent and moves up, retracing. And then when does the 4 hour decide to reverse direction? When my time frames go back to overbought and cycle back down. I have evidence on the 4 hours that engages, and I have evidence as my 15, 30, and 1 hour moving lower. We nickname this information 15, 30, 1 hour the workforce. Price will not move on a chart no way, shape, or form without the movement of the workforce and the foreman. We call the 4 hour the foreman. It's the gatekeeper between the lower and higher time frame. It's what I think between the lower and then in the direction either with or against the higher, and the evidence is this phenomenon. If I'm going with the higher, my 4 hour is going to try to slingshot lower and fail and go higher. If it's going with the higher time frames, as it starts to slingshot, then we expect it to go lower and lower and lower. And we see that phenomenon over and over.
As you can see, you love to teach.
As you can see, I love to teach. That is so true. So, you're asking, well, this seems pretty interesting. We've only shown you a fraction of what is offered in this unique software. So, let's continue. Does the system work? What are the trading results of this system? Well, we showed you 2 tremendous live trades that we have ongoing. Here's some past history trades, and of course we can do these anytime. When the time frames align, we get unison in the time frame. We expect price to start to move lower and lower. This went on to move much lower, but it's up where we, at this point in time, 183 pips. Euro pound, up over 289 pips, following the same phenomenon, selling slingshots. Continuation of moves as it moves lower. Pound dollar, 440 pips. Based on this correction, reversal, and a slingshot down from this ultimate top and reversal, and a continuation as price continued to run, 440 pips. Odd dollar during a correction on the odd, 608 pips. Again, following the correction, the software not only gets you in the trade, but it moves your stop loss into profit, so you can't lose anything. You're no longer at risk, and it'll keep your take profits 1, 2, 3s wherever you place them. It is on-screen programming. I can move those on screen. Odd Swiss, 922 pips. Same entry based on selling rallies in a downtrend, and continues to run 922 pips. Gold. We showed you gold up over $110. Here's where we traded gold up over $59. We traded gold back down. Here's where we traded gold down $55. Anybody trade gold out there? You can make a lot of money on a small move. You don't need to have $50, $100 moves, but when the time frames align and the line of progression sets up, that's what we do in this class. We tell you exactly what to look for, when to sell it, how to sell it, why to sell it, the explanation behind the time frame cycling, and the end result is huge success. This is a $54, almost $55 move. Euro odd, one of my favorite pairs, 1,142 pips. Rode this baby up nicely. Class, I had Students in here literally making thousands of pips on that one trade. A student sent this in. He uses TradeStation to trade in, but the software runs in MetaTrader. So when he gets a signal, he runs the trade and enters it in TradeStation. 8,600 pips and counting over multiple trades. He then went on, based on the time frames aligning, he sent this in. My current TradeStation account continues to grow following the line of progression, and this is what we call that slice of heaven finder. He knew the slice of heaven finders were setting up, and he let these run, and now that went to 18,311 pips. Here's the screenshot of his trading account within TradeStation. Multiple trades running. You see several trades in 1,000 pip range, several thousands of pips on all of these different trades combined by simply following the direction of the time frame trend. This is accumulation of multiple trades, tallied a total of $29,155.77. Multiple trades tallying that. Continued. Here's a lot more trades based on the same principle over and over and over. Same principle. This one's up over 39,263. It continues. Next one up. This one ran up to over 54,438. Again, a lot of the same trades continuing to run and some new trades added in along the mix. 54,000. Does it ever end? Here's this screenshot of today's trade we took from class, and we were up well into the 1263 range right when gold made its move to the target zone we had predefined weeks before and told exactly how it was going to get there and what strategy to use along the way. Buy 4-hour slingshots, buy 4-hour slingshots, buy, and continue to buy while my daily and weekly continue to push higher and gave you a target to shoot for. So, some of you out there say, well, I'm an option trader and I don't need software. I just need to know certain factors about a company and then I trade options. Well, here's one of my students that's an option trader, and he talks about how exciting the software is. He exited a short position early and made 1,200. He then re-entered later the day to make an additional 300 by using options. He was utilizing the software. If I had done this on my own, I would have bailed on it long ago for a loss. But due to the confidence of watching the time frame cycle in the direction, he continued to let it run and turn into a very profitable trade. Right? He made his subscription costs back very quickly. Thanks for all your hard work in developing the system. As price proves intention, we talk about that a lot. We're going to force price to prove its intentions. Whether or not it breaks certain make or break levels or is the time frame cycle, force it to prove its intention, then we get in these high probability trades. If my ability to use your system keeps improving, he's dropping his financial advisor and several newsletters, and he applied for a forex account. He was strictly option trading, but he sees the power of it and he's going to add it to his Thinkorswim accounts. I've gained more time, and he can't wait for GPA and JFD to assist broker in Australia and Switzerland. So he's going to tell his brokers how to place trades in his accounts based on the time frame cycles. That's powerful confirmation from students. Now, what exactly is the Master Trader program? We've been talking about it. It includes the software. But it's not enough to have software. You need excellent live trading instruction. Who better to teach and instruct you than the person that created the system? Has been trading it for over 10 years. I've been trading for 20, and this is part of that live trading class. We go in depth. And what you'll find about our student base, and yes, it includes the trade alerts we briefly reviewed. We give you plan of action and alternate plans of action, but it teaches you how to trade, to read and understand support and resistance. We use Fibonacci, Elliott wave, trend lines, price pattern reversals. We use numerous components that tie into the software to make you well educated. Now, what components consist of the software? What exactly is the software? Well, we saw the scanner briefly I showed you. That's the one I can set any symbol and it'll tell me an overview of the market. What direction is the trend? What slingshots are on the horizon? When are they forming? When are they engaging? When do I get triggers that are topping and rolling or bottoming and reversing for buy and sell signals? We also include the Slice of Heaven Finder. Again, just for viewing pleasure, this is the one that I can set up and tell it to ultimately scan the entire portfolio within the market watch. So again, this one has over 800 symbols with this broker. I condensed it to about 200 because I only were interested in US stocks and then currencies and gold, oil, a few of those. So I customized it. But if I don't care, I can set all 800 in here and let it run. One of these setups is how those big trades, all of those big trades, 400, 900, 1100, all of those big trades started here. Looking at the time frame as they align. Again, I can customize this to do monthly, weekly, daily. Weekly, daily, 4 hour. It's all customizable. Very simple to do. But this is where I can let the market scan any symbols and then go to the charts and check it out before I enter trades. It also includes those trade triggers. Remember I showed you the red triggers for short, green triggers for long? That's part of the slingshot phenomenon. We call that the MPA slingshot trade triggers. Because one thing we don't have time to show you today, when the slingshots start to engage, you have triggers on the lower time frames as they're topping and rolling as the culprit why a slingshot engaged down, because the lower time frames are topping and rolling and triggering lower. And when a slingshot engages up, we have lower time frames triggering higher, and that's because they're bottoming and reversing. All that's included. Trade management system, we briefly showed that. There's so many components to this, but again, I can set the trade management system to automatically, right, trade in progress, to automatically buy dips in an uptrend, sell rallies in a downtrend, buy triggers long, sell triggers short, buy slingshots higher, sell slingshots lower. I can customize this system to do exactly that. Not only does it do that, but once you're in a trade, it moves your stop loss in the profit automatically once you hit take profit 1. You go on to hit take profit 2. Again, this is on-screen programming, so I can double click, move my targets when necessary, lock it into place. So if I don't think gold's going to go that high, I simply reassess and move it lower, and once tick data goes through, you'll notice this target, well, not the stop loss, but my target to my next take profit 3 here is going to change to reflect the movement. It's all on-screen program. Well, what if I'm up huge? Well, Gary, man, I'm up $110. What if I don't, suppose price reverses and start heading lower? I can take my stop loss, which is the red line, I can take my stop loss and simply move it deeper into profit, right? I can simply move it deeper into profit. So once I do that and I lock it in place, now if the market's reversed, I can dictate how much more profit it's going to lock in. How cool is that? Already, again, we banked over $42.89 of profit, over $42 move, plus my take profit 1 was another 6. That's right around that $48, almost $50 there, plus we're up another 110 on that last lot running. Amen?
3 lots.
And we entered with 6 lots, so the system entrance in increments of 3. So if I do 3 lots, it'll do 1, 1, and 1. I do 6, it'll take 2, 2, and 2. And it must be divisible by 3. But that's part of the process, on-screen programming. But this is the system. You've never seen anything like it. And isn't it helpful to know when I have a slingshot, what if I try to go long and I have a slingshot on the horizon on a time frame above me or below me? I want to know. Here's a little mini scanner that tells you what's on the horizon before I even place the trade with the trade management system. I promise you, you've never seen anything like this. So let's continue. Trade management system. We barely scratched the surface on that. We have a Platinum Asia scalping system. We didn't really show it today and didn't have time, but I will go quickly to a chart and show you real briefly what that looks like. You go in and there's multiple preset templates, and I go to my Platinum Asia, and a couple of different colors, and I set this. During the Asia session, it sets pivots, buy and sell pivots. And all I need to do in order to use this is align it with the time frame. As the time frames are bottoming and I'm at a buy zone, or I'm below it and price moves to more of my buy zone and my time frames are moving up, then I buy. If it's moving at or down and moving, or it's at sell territory and my time frames are topping and rolling, I sell it from there. This is specifically formulated to use on a 15-minute time frame. So how could I have used this entry on a 15? We came down to the buy zone. My 15 is starting to slingshot higher. My 30 is still moving higher at that time, right? Starting to move. Why would I buy? My 30 is starting to move up. My 1 hour is also in the process of depressurizing, moving higher. So it's made to make between 15 to 20, maybe 30 pips, depending on the currency pair or symbol. It will vary based on the volatility of a particular pair or currency. But I can use this during the Asia session when I'm at home looking for opportunities. How do I use it? We'll go specifically into those directions. But you use the lower time frame, my workforce. When my workforce is all bottoming, I look to buy from buy zones. And when my workforce is all topping and rolling, I look to sell from sell zones. And I ride price to the midline, take profits, and I let it go to my next take profit, and I close the trade there. Simply scalping. We got you covered. And the newest one I just released, called the Triple P. This one will absolutely blow your mind. So, I don't have time. We're already out of time now to go into all these, but this is included also. But again, what we've learned about the cycling time frame sets the tone how I use this scalping system, sets the tone how I use this scalping system called the Triple P. It's all the same. So how cool is that as a trader? Once I learn your system, Gary, I can use it on what? I can use it on any symbol. I can use it on any time frame. I can use it on any financial market. Long as we go to the market watch and that symbol's in here, IBM, Halliburton, numerous stocks. The other platform I showed you, you can use it in any MetaTrader platform, right? Any one. And this one I customize, as I showed you, down to only a few hundred. But if I right click and show all, right? Show all, now watch. Now we have over 800 symbols, not just the US, but European stocks, Australian stocks, commodities, futures, ETFs, gold, coffee, you name it.
I'm not seeing that part.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me go back to... Sorry, I forgot you were not seeing that. I just changed my profile, and now it has over 800 symbols, including all of the previous currencies and U.S. stocks in green. But now we start Asian stocks, European stocks, etc. We go in ETFs, commodities, you name it. Over 800 plus symbols. This exact software runs on any one of those, and the same principle you will learn you use to trade anything under the sun. So how cool is it? I can use it to trade any time frame. I can use it to trade any financial market. And when I take the time and allow the time frames to align, look for very specific samples and examples. I teach this in class and I paint the Picasso. I tell you exactly what the software is going to do, how it's going to do it, why it's going to do it. So when it does it, you can either have the system enter it for you or you can do it manually. Either way, it's in there. It's like Prego. It's in there. All right, I'm going to turn it over to Trish as she covers the top 10 reasons why you should be trading, whether you're stocks, commodities, futures, forex. I don't care what market you're trading. When I know the direction of the market, it'll help me as an option trader. I know E-mini traders out there that love to trade the E-mini. Don't get me started. Let me show you what we just did on the S&P. This was from today's class on the S&P. I know those traders in E-minis love to get a point or two. 3 or 4. 3 or 4. They think they died and went to heaven. This is from today's class. And this was a trade alert that went out last night.
Close your market watch.
Let me close the market watch so you can see the big picture. And this is from the trade alert that said, hey, my daily just slingshotted up, failed, and it's moving lower. So as long as my daily TM, trend momentum, PAI, price action indicator, remain pointing towards the downside, I'm going to sell the 4-hour slingshot. Well, look at what the 4-hour slingshot did for us. It went up and engaged lower, and it went back to what? I predestined this level that it would go to. It's a battle zone. Form of support, turn resistance, turn support, turn resistance. Drew this on the chart to say, look out, it's going to go up, and when this engages, sell it. Expect the lower low, and it went from a high of 2026 to a low so far of 2078, right? So how about those E-mini traders that get a point or two and think they died and went to heaven? How about join this service and sell a 4-hour slingshot? And even if you don't get the majority of that 40-plus point move, so what if I get half of them, a third of them? A lot better than 1 or 2 or 3. 40. This one back up. The daily slingshot as it went back up from the daily perspective. Previous alert said buy that daily slingshot and look for price to go higher. Should that daily break a new high? Not necessarily when my weekly is doing what? Turning over. So I would expect the daily to move price up, yes, but fail. When it fails, sell that rally. 40-plus points. 4-hour slingshot engaging down. This will come to you as second nature. It's simply cycling of time frame. But it doesn't matter the market, ladies and gentlemen. The system remains the same. System is always the same. And now you're thinking, okay, well, let's hear about it, and what are you offering? Here's Trish to tell you the 10 reasons why you should be a GPA Trading Services member. And I'll close with this, that all of our members, over 50+%, have been our members for more than 5 years. Ian, have you ever heard of a service that the majority of all members have been there for 5+ years? Join us live in class as we ask that today. Some of you guys signed up for our service before you even had this webinar. We had a student today join the class, and he was in class today, and we asked that question, how long have you been here? People typing 209, 206, 210, been here for years. Here's Trish.
Oh, Gary is such a passionate person. He absolutely loves to teach and educate, and we do have a lot of fun, and we have a wonderful student base from around the world. Like Gary said, they've been with us forever. We feel like family. We've met many of them at live events that we've conducted, and we do have a lot of fun. We're very serious about what we do, but we do make it fun. We think you should have some fun along the way. So, and we love a top 10 list. Let me just read this to you. Number 1, calculate support and resistance levels automatically. Number 2, identifies the trend of each time frame. Number 3, monitors and tracks time frame cycles. Number 4, provides consistent entries, exit, and take profit levels based on trade triggers, slingshots, and profit triggers. Number 5, the trade management system. The trade management system alone is a wow factor. People get crazy over that trade management system, and we're very proud of it. It also automatically manages your trades from entry to exit, fits any trading style. We have the dual scanners that scan the markets for the next big trade, works on over 800+ symbols, including stocks, forex, futures, ETFs, commodities, etc. And number 10, consistently delivers low risk, high reward, high probability trades. We're very serious about what we do. We don't want students to ever do anything risky. Gary spends an inordinate amount of time in class. We're not watching the watch like many people that you may go to their webinar and that you can tell they're just putting the time in and then they're out. We don't do that. 2-3 hours. We do boot camps, and we can go 6 hours plus. We are very serious about trying to provide a proper trading education. That's the most important thing that you can ever do is have a proper trading education so you make wise decisions. And so we stand firmly behind that, and that's why we have class. Dan says, why do you have class? We love class. We thrive in class. Gary loves to teach, and that's what we're all about, and our students love to be in class with us. So that's one of the most important aspects to us. Now, We do have a special offer because we'd like to make this available to a new audience. You're a new audience to us today, and again, we do appreciate being able to present to you. It was very thrilling to be in front of a new audience, and we hope you enjoyed what we presented. And so we did put together a trial offer to give you a chance to join us for the Master Trader program, which we discussed with you. It is the classes, the software, and the alerts. We don't just turn you loose with the software and say good luck and God bless. That's not the proper way to do it. I know many people do that. They don't want to take the time to teach and instruct, but Gary is a firm believer in proper instruction, and he thinks it should come from the master mind behind it. So yes, it includes the software, the classes, and the trade alerts. For the first month, it's $97, an unbelievable deal. Our pricing structure is very reasonable in everything that we do. We are very cost conscious, and we want to have as many people of like mind like us that have the same sentiment to join us. So here is the plan. Then it goes to $3.99 a month thereafter, and that is continue on with the same Master Trader program. So I believe we have covered everything for you today. Here is the link, and let me post the link in there for you. Oops, let me do that. It's not right. 1 second, I'll post the link in there. So you can just click on the link and click on that link, and that will take you to the registration page for those of you that would like to join us. And we'd like to say welcome aboard to those of you that have already joined us. Had quite a few people that just jumped right on in and joined us, and we welcome you. You can join us in class. Our next class is next Tuesday, so we hope to see you in class. And for those of you that are unable to attend our live classes, the majority of our students are unable to attend live, so they follow along explicitly and strictly through our class archives. We record everything that we do, and then it's promptly posted to our website, so you can follow along at your leisure whenever it's convenient for you. 24/7, all that information is available for you. We have educational modules, we have how-to videos, all of our classes are recorded, so we have a mountain of wonderful information available to you. Once you join in the members area, you have everything at your fingertips, everything that you need. So if we have any questions, we will take those. And again, we thank you for joining us. And our motto that we're very proud of is our market price anticipator software empowers you to read and anticipate price in any financial market on time, in time, all the time. And that's a pretty powerful statement. And as we said, we have students from around the world, and if you do visit our website, we have a world map, and that is a picture of all the beautiful world flags that we've collected from our students from around the world. And every time we get a new student from a new country, their flag pops up and they are being represented. So that is a current picture of the world map representing our students from around the world. We have a lovely group of students from around the world, and that makes things very interesting. So there you have it. If there's any questions, we'll be happy to answer. If not, thank you again for joining us. We wish you all the best in your trading endeavors, and we hope to see you soon. And also, you can email us. We type in the support email if you have any other questions or anything that you would like to contact us about. Here is our support email, and support will get back to you promptly. Okay? So there you have it, support@gpatrading.com, and then you also have the link that you can click on to take advantage of the trial. We covered a lot of information. This was recorded, so you will receive a recording for you to review again in case you think, wow, I didn't get a chance to really think about what he said. Let me go over that again. So we will send out a recording as well. Okay? So I guess we will call it a day. Gary and I have been at it. It's a long day for us. We had class early this morning. And so I guess we will go ahead and call it a day. But thank you again for joining us, and we wish you all the best. Take care.